I guess opening statement again. Okay. Well, we came off the road. Got a what we needed out of a road experience. I'll say that we got what we needed. More than just the score itself. It was just we got some other people involved. We were without some people, and we were able to absorb that and still be very effective at a high level. And that's what you want from a team that you you keep saying you have depth, and then if you use it, it needs to be effective. And so we were able to do that, and it was a good experience. It was chaotic over there. It's a small environment. It's very tight, and there were four teams going. And what started as supposed to have been a dual meet ended up as a quad, and so it kind of gave us a taste of sort of the controlled chaos that you get in a championship format a little bit, albeit with a competition level that was not at the championship level. But nonetheless, our kids did a great job and have handled the gauntlet of that last 3 weeks or whatever it was, where we had four meets really close together, and we didn't come out of it unscathed, but we've survived it to a point where we're still in a pretty good position right now to be able to move forward. And so now we finish out the season here with these next two meets. The first one being the final conference in regular season meet against Kentucky, who's a great team. I told you guys at the beginning of the season, there's no easy outs in this conference anymore. It seems like everybody in the conference is in the top 10 right now. It's I think 6 of the top 10 are SEC teams right now. And at this time of year, the sample size is such that the rankings kind of say you're one of the best teams, and that's the case. I mean, it's not an aberration at this point for Kentucky to be ranked as highly as they are. So we know that they're a good team. We know that as with everybody, we seem to get everybody's best shot when we go, and we expect it to be the same this week. I'm excited about being home again, always, and getting in front of our crowd. That always gives us a little lift, as we've talked about before. But should be a good one.
Raina Worley for Kentucky.
Yeah.
She's leading the country in the all-arounds.
Yeah.
What makes her so special?
She's as competitive a kid. You can see it in her eyes, man. That kid's got a lot of fire in her belly, and she's got an edge to her that I think really sort of sets the tone for their entire team. She's clearly the catalyst for that whole group right now, and I feel like again, the ranking says what you are, and she's certainly one of the best right now. I didn't. No, I wasn't. I stayed away from it.
You said relatively unscathed. I guess could you give us an update on health and who you're expecting to have and how you kind of want to manage this, push to the finish?
Yeah, I don't know if or when we'll get Kai Rivers back at this point. She did suffer a shoulder injury in the Alabama meet that is not as serious as we had originally thought, but it still is. It's put her out for now. She's not training as of now, and we really don't have. We've got kind of a timetable that we would need to be able to adhere to get her back. So we're hopeful that we'll get her back at least on balance beam, but we really don't know that just yet because she has not yet trained. I think we'll start adding some of that stuff. We're adding some of that stuff tomorrow a little bit. She may have done a little bit on beam on Tuesday, but we'll see how that goes. And that's a big blow. As I told you all, if that were to happen, that's it's not as much. Yes, it's about her gymnastics, but it's about everything. It's about her, and not having her out there is just, it's hard on her. It's hard on the kids, but we've been able to continue to move forward and expanded the roles. I think Elena Arenas has done just a fantastic job. Really turned a corner. A light switch went on with her about a month ago, and we really started to see marked improvement in her consistency, and she has really stepped up to the plate and taken on some of that slack that's there with some of the absentees. Alona is back on bars. She did bars at T-Dub, and she added floor back yesterday, so I'm optimistic that we'll be able to get her back out there on floor. Where we go after that, I don't know. But her knee is tolerating what she's doing right now, so that's a positive sign on that end as well. Kaya and Haley are status quo. Haley, we pulled out of floor when we were at Texas Women's. Her groin flared up, but that's kind of par for the course this time of year. You have little ticky-tack sort of things that start to happen. But just talked to her right before I came over here. She said it's feeling better. So it's kind of game time she'll be in on a lot. I just don't know if it'll be all 4, if it's 3 or whatever. And Kaya, status quo, we plan to do all 4 with her this week.
Is it so competitive now that you lose a meet in the SEC and you lost the regular season title or crown or whatever?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it usually comes down to that. I suppose you could end up in a tie, and I don't even know if we do tiebreakers with head to head. I don't know. The gold standard for us. I heard Coach Mulkey sitting up here talking about the regular season. The gold standard for us for decades has been only the championship meet. It's only been in recent years that we even recognized a regular season champion. So I think it is certainly difficult to win this league in terms of the regular season. So much of it is driven around home court advantage, I guess, or home floor advantage. Sometimes you feel that way. I almost feel like when you go on the road, if you're not in this league, because everybody's good, if you're not 3 to 5 tenths better than the team that's home that day, you're not going to win. You're not coming out with a win. So even by half a tenth. So it can, atmosphere can drive things from time to time, but we know that this league is tough, and any of the teams in this league that are doing it right now could easily wind up in the national semifinals here in a month or so, 2 months, whatever it is.
What does Alona mean to you? Obviously, you think of your team, think of Kaya, and you think of Haley, but she can do the all around. She can do a lot of things. What did not having her the last couple of meets mean as much? And before this last meet, and what are you hoping she can do going forward? I mean, can she be an all arounder again, or do you need her to be?
As much Alona as we can get, we want. I mean, because she is. Here's the thing: these kids get hurt, and they put so much effort into what they're doing. When they have an injury, it not only takes them out of their gymnastics, but it takes them off their game in terms of who they are spiritually or from a motivational standpoint. Their presence seems to recede sometimes, and that's the thing we caution them about all the time. If things aren't going well for you, you still have a mission. You still have a role that you fill, and if that void is there, it affects everything around us. Our sport at this level, because it's so team oriented, and yet we go up there as individuals, so much of it is centered around the energy and the feel that they get from their teammates and being out there doing it for each other and those kinds of things. And when somebody's down or somebody's noticeably absent in terms of their personality and their energy, McKenna Kelly is the biggest example of that over the years that we've had. You guys saw that kid. I mean, she was the the straw that stirred the drink, if you will. I mean, she was that kid that gave us that energy, and when she was down, it caused us all. It affected everybody around her. So I think Alona has learned to do a pretty good job of handling that. Kai is working hard at it, and those are the biggest things. I mean, we've got other gymnasts, but we don't necessarily have other personalities that fill their void, fill that particular piece of the puzzle. It's not that it's a knock on anybody else. So from Alona's standpoint, getting her back more than anything, when she's back doing gymnastics, that face and that sort of goofy personality starts to come back around, and it just kind of brings everybody up in training and brings everybody's countenance up a little bit, and And that's a big part of it. Same thing with Kai. Same thing with any of them. If they're noticeably absent, their piece of the puzzle is removed. It's noticeable on a squad size that we deal with. Spark plug, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
If we can get a NQS update, do you like where you're at right now, or are you still trying to drop some scores?
We've got one. Hopefully, we drop it this week. We're still counting our first meet here against Centenary. So, theoretically, if we come in here and do well this weekend, that'll create a little bit of a bump. For I don't know how much. Brandon has a better handle on all that than I do. But yeah, we're counting a lower score than a lot of the other teams that are in the top 5 or 10, I think, right now. And we'll dump that and we'll see what that means. But again, none of that stuff really makes a whole lot of difference until the very end, and it decides whether you're a 1 or a 2 going into the postseason. And the way that we do our postseason, there's no reward for being a 1 seed. It's a random draw on what event you're going to start. It's the most convoluted garbage I've ever heard of, but it makes me crazy that achievement is not rewarded the way it is in other sports for our sport. But nonetheless, whether we're a 1 or a 2, I really don't want to be any lower than that. But if we're number 5 in the country, we'll be a 2 seed somewhere. If we're number 4, we'll be a 1. That's really kind of how it breaks down. Convoluted garbage. There's the quote of the day. You guys just have to find the right button, and when you do, it just pops right out there.
I didn't ask you my major league question. I probably should have. Maybe I went to the well too early. I haven't asked you about Alexis Jeffrey in a while. How is she progressing?
She's doing well.
Do you hope? Could you? I know you can't do in an SEC meet. You can't do exhibitions.
We can.
Oh, you can
for this one because it's on the Plus or whatever the streaming platform. We can. I don't know if we will. She did exhibition at TWU on bars and did well for her first routine. Really had only done a full bar set, I don't know, twice, but I felt comfortable with her going out there and just kind of getting that experience. So we'll see. I don't know. We haven't decided as coaches whether we'll do exhibitions or not. Sometimes they're good and sometimes they're not. And in a meet like this of this magnitude, you don't want anything that potentially breaks your momentum. If things get going well, you don't want to put something out there and then have it kind of so you run that risk when you do that. So we'll make that decision as we get a little closer.
But she's not progressed to the point where you'd say, oh, she could fill a spot in one of these
It's
rotations.
just late in the year. It's not that she couldn't. It may still happen. But by the time you get to this time of year, we got a lot of kids that were already waiting in the wings, that were Elena being one of them, who was kind of that. She was the 7th kid for a while in a lot of our lineups, and now she was in on 3 this past weekend and has made the most of her opportunity and is doing a great job. So, the question becomes not whether somebody else is doing a good job, but who do you supplant and who do you move out for that? There's not a lot of this at this time of year. You're not really wanting to make too many moves if you don't have to.
KJ did an exhibition on beam, right?
KJ did do an exhibition on beam, and that went well. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but again, it was an exhibition outside of here. We got her out there and got her. She hit, and that's the thing. And she just got to continue to grow in her confidence there. Beam's not going to be. I mean, I'm knock on wood. Anything can happen, but it's not something that we have designs on her competing for us in the postseason on beam just yet, but we're bringing her along slowly so that the future is there for her.
And when you say the future, that's like a couple years down
the road. Or next year, or just be right now. It's about being prepared if something were to go crazy from an injury perspective or something were to happen. We've got to have people ready to go in. That's our message to everybody. And I think I keep going back to Elena. She's the one that she bought into that, and she's ready. And when her opportunity came, she's made the most of it. And that's what you want. You want them to be ready so they don't have to get ready. Somebody else said that too. I don't know who that was. It's probably Joe Burrow. I steal a lot of quotes. Is that it?